Good afternoon, team. Hope you're doing well. Haven't done a walking video in a while, so it's actually pretty cool to walk down the road in the beautiful sunlight. Nietzsche also said that you can't trust an idea that you thought of indoors. So I think that's a pretty good principle to follow. Walking always helps aerate the mind. But just wanted to hit you guys with a debrief video today. There's been a lot going on, some changes, some developments. Thought I'd better debrief the channel as we keep going with the usual schedule of content. We had St. Michael's troops here in Christchurch just last Saturday. So I guess I'll talk a bit about that because the first one we ran was in October 2023, and it wasn't actually the same event as what possibly some of you guys have attended now. We pretty much just hit a workout, had a barbecue, and then did night prayer led by a priest. But the whole sort of idea of it is the same, is to pretty much unite young guys in faith, fitness, and brotherhood. So whether that's a mass, liturgy of the hours, or some sort of prayer, could even be a Bible study, I guess. Shared workout, group training, martial arts, go for a run, whatever it is, and then have a bit of a feed, because what better way to connect with others than food? So that's sort of the blueprint for St. Michael's troops, and it's a great event to foster fraternity. And you're doing shared suffering, you're praying together. I think that's an important aspect because often in the modern world, I think our faith lives can be very individual, you know, in terms of us living in different places, working different jobs. Whatever the case is, we don't often get the chance to worship as a community, let alone side by side with other men, which I think is a very special and unique experience. In terms of me personally, not sure whether it was work or St. Michael's exactly. The judo most likely had a negative impact, but I've pretty much flared up my back injury. So if you guys don't know, I bulged a disc back in September last year doing some squats. So that's sort of been on and off, giving me trouble for the past 12 months. It hadn't for a long time, but I think this is probably one of the worst flare-ups I've had in a while. I was driving my surf as well. The seat is very low, and it was a long drive from Christchurch back to the farm. So anyway, I'm basically out of action from work here on the farm and gym for a couple days, slowly recovering. Luckily I have a standing desk, so I'm able to work without too much discomfort. It's actually the sitting down that makes it bad. But yeah, that's sort of where I'm at the moment. So it's given me a good opportunity to reflect, study, write, work on content. One of the other developments which I wanted to bring to your attention is that we'll pretty much be moving off farm, or we're sort of leaving this operation here where we are, which is a pretty big operation, and it takes a lot of work, not even just from us as a family, but from other employees as well. So it's a decently sized business, but we've pretty much pulled the pin on it. It's too hard to find good workers, and it's also putting strain on the family, so there's kind of no point to keep going in it. And my original plan was pretty much to stay here for the next 2 years or so while I finish my degree, because I'm studying effectively full-time online through Holy Apostles College and Seminary in order to finish my Bachelor of Arts. And it was sort of a comfortable setup where I can work somewhat flexible hours, but effectively full-time. It's especially helpful in those busy seasons, and then maybe over the summer I sort of have a bit more time to work on the studies and whatnot. But effectively we'll be out of here by May 31st. So then the question becomes, well, do we look for another business or another operation to go into, which is not off the books? Like, it'll definitely be smaller than this one, but pretty much for me it's somewhat of a signal to say, well, it's kind of open, uncharted territory, and with all the things that have been happening this year, I really don't see any reason why not to full send Fit for the Kingdom. At this stage, what that full send is looking like, obviously you might be wondering, well, what does that even mean? Like, are you just going to run a crap ton of events? Well, not exactly. I've just joined up with a consulting program called Launch Socials. So they focus on growing and scaling social media brands, whether that be a personal brand, a theme page, a brand like Fit for the Kingdom. But the idea of what I want to do, because I've been exploring this year, is obviously I myself, I guess I've done a lot of gym, I've worked with a coach, I've gone through a personal training course, I've read a lot about diet and sleep, I just released a sleep blueprint. I feel like I am a qualified traditional PT in that regard, but I think more importantly, my past 5 years or so of living my Catholic faith have led me to understand a lot of the mindsets, habits, negatives and positives of living as a Christian in the modern world. Having the YouTube channel and having Fit for the Kingdom has also demanded that I articulate a lot of these concepts much more than if I was just sort of living and doing my own thing, because I'm having to speak this stuff to you guys. You naturally read things are brought to your attention, the gears in the mind turn, and you put words to concepts, you understand things, you get how to communicate stuff. So I think I'm in this unique position where myself, as a young man living in the world, I can speak to guys who were in my position 5 years ago, or I can speak to guys who are just a few years younger and maybe struggling with different things, and I can plug in the right systems, the right habits, the right virtues, the right routines to help get you guys on track. And this is all very simple stuff. Like what I was telling someone today is like, it's not like I have some sort of magic trick or I'm some sort of billionaire like Andrew Tate who's lived this ridiculous life, but what I've learnt, instead of you having to figure that out and take 3 to 5 years of suffering and struggle and not knowing what to do, I can take this knowledge, these systems that I have, and plug them directly into your life. And it saves you that time and trouble. So what might have taken you 2 years to figure out and get into a good position in discerning your vocation or something, I can plug in that knowledge, whether that be through an ebook, through a course, through a one-on-one mentorship, and help speed up the process and get you to where you need to be, bring you up to speed, where you can then go on and absolutely crush it in whatever domain of life you choose to pursue. So I'm not sure what this quote-unquote product or this series of products will look like, but basically what Launch Socials does is it's going to take me as a person, it's going to take my journey, well, I'm going to take it, but with their help, figure out the brand, figure out the messaging, figure out the content to grow on these algorithms, which of course are so often used for evil purposes, but grow my brand, grow my story, grow my message, learn how to communicate it better. What are the different stages of problem awareness that you as my audience are at? And build that and grow that. And once we've gotten that platform to a point where people are saying, okay, this guy knows something that I don't. This guy has figured out solutions to my problems. I want his help. When you sort of get to that point, then that's where myself and Launch Socials as the consulting agency can say, well, look, based on what you've built, based on the problems that you're addressing, and based on the demands from your audience, what can we provide to effectively fill that gap in the market? And that's what I'm going to be working on over the next 7 months. In some ways, my deadline is May 31st, but where I'd expect to be making money from this or making some form of income. But that's not really going to be the end goal, because I think you might be wondering, well, why are you building your personal brand and not Fit for the Kingdom? I view Fit for the Kingdom as much more of like an organization and an institution. Where I see this whole thing going with Fit for the Kingdom is like, can we start getting inside Catholic schools? Can we start running sessions, courses, programs within the schools to minister to these young men who've never heard a masculine Catholic man preach the gospel? Can we get into those institutions? Can we start ministering to those men? Can we start having more like speaking events or speaking engagements, whether we're speaking to young men, young Catholic professionals, the church in general, you know, giving talks at the diocese, at youth groups and stuff. I mean, we're already doing some of that. But I think what's going to be really important is that I build myself up. I guess it's going to be a business in some ways, but I build this thing up to the point where I'm able to contribute even more to Fit for the Kingdom, and we're able to reach and help and minister to even more young men. So this process with Launch Socials, it's a 12-month consulting agreement or whatever. Over the next 12 months, I think I'm going to grow a lot. I'm going to figure out a lot. I'm probably going to get a lot smarter in the sense that I start doing the things that actually work instead of playing a bit of a guessing game. But I think they're all, you know, I did that post the other day where I was talking about the launch pad of your life, that launch pad of stability and discipline and virtue. I guess if we take that analogy, it's like, okay, well, I've got that launch pad. I've sort of worked on and cultivated these talents that God has given me. Now I'm putting the GPS into that rocket. Launch Socials is that GPS. And it's not only the two coaches there, Nick and Joe, fantastic men, incredibly gifted, but there's also a whole network of guys there, and I've been working with Velarde and Riley as well, two guys in the US who've been helping me, I guess, the past couple of months with some of the framing around this. But in some ways I've also entered that tribe of mentors from guys who are many steps ahead of me in their personal brands and in building out communities and stuff. So yeah, really exciting time for me. And I guess previously to this decision about the dairy, you know, I was always going to keep working on this stuff in my brand and Fit for the Kingdom, but because I kind of had the next 2 years laid out in front of me, there wasn't a huge driving pressure, or there wasn't a gap for me to punch through and open to do this more. But now, as I said, it's like that playing field has been cleared pretty much as of next year. Sure, May 31st is the cutoff, but there's also sort of a quieter period in the business anyway. I have that gap that I've been looking for, or God has opened that gap. So yeah, I just have to say I'm super excited to take it, and it's not going to be easy. There's a lot of work to do, but I feel like I've put myself in the right position, and I'm working with the right people to get the guidance and direction around this. That, yeah, I really hope that God blesses me with success, and if he doesn't bless me with success, you know, at least we get some results, and you know, we're able to spread the reach and spread the message of this mission further than what we have been able to the past 2 years. And I think generally, well, definitely the past couple of months, but I know that this will come too, is just a lot of clarity around what Fit for the Kingdom is meant to look like, you know, between myself and Bede and some of the other boys involved. But yeah, really is a great blessing, a great mission, a great responsibility. And I'm very grateful, you know, to have the opportunity to take this, you know, and to do it. And I really think it's a beautiful thing for me, and I hope all of you watching have the same grace in a way of, I guess, feeling feeling peace and unity with God's will. I have clarity of my mission. I have clarity of my future. And again, that doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but if you know the roadmap, if you know where you're going, all you have to do is put your head down and work. And there's something beautiful to that. I think I was in a similar place, you know, when I was 19, and I guess still in the trenches, you know, getting into the gym, building my physique, you know, in those early stages of growing my faith. And I think that was a really beautiful time for me, because it's not like I'd reached my goal. I was far from it, but I had this roadmap in front of me, and all I had to do was follow it. So yeah, anyway, hopefully you got some insight from that. Please pray for me and the mission. Very exciting times. And I hope you guys, yeah, subscribe, comment on the video if you enjoyed it. It's always good to get a bit of feedback on these things. And make sure to follow me across all the social media platforms. I'm on Instagram, posting a lot on X. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Spotify. If you want to just plug in the audio for these videos, I upload them all to Spotify, so you can listen to them in the car or while you're at work. But yeah, all right, God bless you guys. We'll catch you in the next one.